All right. I felt like 16 was full of wonderful tidbits, and now we are going on to Revelation chapter 17. Good morning, Frankie and Caitlin and Tracy and whoever else is watching. So we learned yesterday that 17 is the takedown of the harlot or the religious system, and that 18 was the fall of the political and economic system, and that 19 would be the defeat of the military system. I'm excited to get into 17. I'm thinking that with 17 we may just get through Felicia. So does someone want to read chapter 17? It's actually fairly short.
I can read it.
All right.
Go ahead.
One of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and said to me, "Come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute who sits on many waters. With her the kings of the earth committed adultery, and the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adulteries." Then the angel carried me away in the spirit into a desert. There I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names and had 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet and was glittering with gold, precious stones, and pearls. She held a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominable things and the filth of her adulteries. This title was written on her forehead: Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth. I saw that the woman was drunk with the blood of the saints, the blood of those who bore testimony to Jesus. When I saw her, I was greatly astonished. Then the angel said to me, "Why are you astonished? I will explain to you the mystery of the woman and of the beast she rides, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast which you saw once now is not, and will come up out of the abyss and go to his destruction. The inhabitants of the earth, whose names have not been written in the book of life from the creation of the world, will be astonished when they see the beast, because he once was, and now is not, and yet will come. This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, the other has not yet come. But when he does come, he must remain for a little while. The beast who once was, and now is not, is an 8th king. He belongs to the 7 and is going to his destruction. The 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast. They have one purpose and will give their power and authority to the beast. They will make war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will overcome them because he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And with him will be his called, chosen, faithful followers. Then the angel said to me, "The waters you saw where the prostitute sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and languages. The beast and the 10 horns you saw will hate the prostitute. They will bring her to ruin and leave her naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to accomplish his purpose by agreeing to give the beast their power to rule until God's words are fulfilled. The woman you saw is the great city that rules over the kings of the earth."
Well, that should have all made sense. Everybody got that in?
No.
All right. Well, Felicia will give us something to think about, I'm sure. We've met a dragon, a beast, and a prophet, or AKA second beast. Now we meet a new character, this time a prostitute. This woman bears the name of Babylon and represents the restless evil of idolatry, the root cause of every sin since Adam and Eve. Read Jeremiah 51, verse 13. Someone want to look that up? We also have some reading in Galatians.
I'll take that.
Right. It'll be a while, so just make a bookmark.
Okay.
Does someone have Jeremiah?
What
Cindy,
was
I
it?
think you're
13.
reading, but I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah,
No, we're listening for how
you
Babylon
are a
is
city boy.
described. We're listening for how Babylon is described.
Okay, you are a city by a great river, a great center of commerce, but your end has come. The thread of your life is cut.
So how is Babylon described? I wrote by a great river and great commerce.
Yeah, very powerful, but will come to an end.
Yeah, I wonder if that's Euphrates. Guess we'll find out. It says, read Revelation 17, 1 through 6. Where is the prostitute seated?
The many waters of the world,
Yeah.
which I was confused because I thought the waters were all plagued. So do the waters continue to be plagued at this point?
Well, I don't know if it's literal water. Well, I guess we'll find out once we read more, but I also, the seas were the nations before. So it could be symbolic, I guess.
My commentary says the water stands for either sea commerce or a well-watered, well-provisioned city.
Oh, because it's next to the river. Well, Kim, remember this timeline is not in order. Like we heard a preview of what was going to happen, that all of these angels were going to do this, but now we're actually seeing it happen.
Yeah.
Sea commerce, or what else, Kathy?
Or a well-watered city, a well-provisioned city.
So again, this Babylon's by the Great River, which the original Babylon was by the Euphrates River. Remember the Tower of Babel? The angel says the prostitute has committed sexual immorality with the kings of the earth. All right, we're in Jeremiah again. Did you hold your place there, Cindy?
Yes, I did.
Chapter 3, verses 6 through 10. What does sexual immorality represent?
My footnote says the prostitute represents the seductiveness of the government system as, I can't read this word. Oh, as it used the government, that seductive government used immoral means to gain its own pleasure, prosperity, and advantage, in contrast to the prostitute.
Read that again. In contrast to the prostitute.
Yeah, because, okay, the prostitute represents the seductiveness of the government system as it used immoral means to gain its own pleasure, prosperity, and advantage. In contrast to the prostitute, Christ's bride, the church, is pure and obedient. Well, the prostitute, I'm thinking in my mind, it's an immoral means to gain money, but not pleasure and not advantage.
It sounds to me like the church partnering with the world system to immoral or to unethically better themselves.
Oh. Oh, I see how this is saying. It's saying the prostitute represents the deductiveness of the governmental system as it used immoral means to gain its own pleasure, prosperity, and advantage, in contrast to it, period. In contrast to the prostitute, Christ's bride, the church, is pure and obedient. So they're comparing the prostitute to Christ's bride. That's what they're comparing.
Okay, what does Jeremiah 3:6-10 say, Cindy?
During the reign of King Josiah, the Lord said to me, have you seen what fickle Israel has done? Like a wife who commits adultery, Israel has worshipped other gods on every hill and under every green tree. I thought, after she has done all this, she will return to me. But she did not return. And her faithless sister Judah saw this. She saw that I divorced faithless Israel because of her idolatry. But that treacherous sister Judah had no fear. And now she too has left me and given herself to prostitution. Israel treated it all so lightly. She thought nothing of committing adultery by worshiping idols made of wood and stone. So now the land has been polluted. But despite all this, her faithless sister Judah has never sincerely returned to me. She has only pretended to be sorry. I, the Lord, have spoken.
Pretended to be sorry. So what does sexual immorality usually represent according to what Cindy just read?
Would it be worship of idols?
Yeah, worshiping other gods. So read Galatians 4:26. That means you're up, Janet. Picture this heavenly Jerusalem as a woman. How does she compare to Babylon? And what does it mean that she is our mother? You're muted, Janet.
Okay. But the Jerusalem has it above. Wait, but the Jerusalem that is above is free, and she is our mother.
The Jerusalem that is above is free, and she is our mother.
Yeah.
So how does she compare to Babylon? I mean, I guess she's not bound to idols, and there's not a price to pay. I mean, Jesus paid the price. If she's free. And our mother, I don't know. I mean, I guess Israel is the mother to Jesus.
I think you have to go back up at least a verse on that. 25 says, now Hagar stands for Mount Sinai in Arabia and corresponds to the present city of Jerusalem because she is in slavery with her children. And then 26, but the Jerusalem that is above is free and she is her mother. Is that saying the Jerusalem that is above? Is that talking about maybe the heavenly Jerusalem?
That's what I was thinking.
I'm sorry, where in Galatians did you read that, Janet?
4:26.
Galatians 4:26. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll get more as we go into our commentaries.
Yeah, to me, that just one verse doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but
No.
Mhm.
Maybe they should have put it both verses.
Yeah, that's what I'm writing in, and 25. In contrast to Galatians 4, of what is Babylon the mother of? In verse 5, what is Babylon the mother of? Oh, prostitutes
Mm-hmm.
and of earth's abominations. On what is idolatrous Babylon seated in verse 3? Was it the 7 mountains? Oh, no. Verse 3.
desert.
She's sitting on a beast.
Oh, yeah, Scarlet Beast.
Oh, okay, I see it now.
Look how she is dressed. Why might this draw people to her in verse 4? Oh, wealth.
Wealth, yeah.
All the, I said to Stan, okay, so I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, was wide awake. And so I listened to my preacher guy, and, and he was talking about like in Revelation when the beast does all these miraculous signs. And I said to Stan this morning when we were sitting having coffee together, I said, all these people that want their feelings tickled, you know what I mean? Like they operate on their emotions. I said, they're going to easily be deceived, because when he starts doing all these miraculous signs, they're going to be in awe of what he's doing and not grounded in the word. I mean, I don't know why that was such a huge revelation to me this morning when he said that. I thought, I can see where people will be easily deceived.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so people are drawn. I'm saying that because it says about her wealth. We all, it's all about us. What's inside her cup in verse 4? Here we go with another cup.
Abominable things and filth of her adulteries.
Oh, mine says drunk with the blood of the saints and blood of the martyrs of Jesus.
Mine just says obscenities. Well, if you go down to verse 5, it explains a little more.
Oh, I'm in verse 6. No wonder. Okay. Hang on. The woman,
5, yeah.
golden cup full of abominations and impurities. I'm sorry. I was in the wrong place.
Yeah, 5 and 6 explain that.
Abominations and impurities of sexual immorality.
I have well, never mind.
You sure, Kim?
Yeah, I'm still back on the mother thing.
Oh,
So I was reading, so I'll just wait for the other commentaries. And
okay. On what is she drunk? Drunk with the blood of the saints.
I had made note, I guess this was from a previous study that I did, but the blood of the saints, I had made a note, would be the Old Testament people.
That's what I was
And
just thinking, because he's
And the blood
separating.
of the blood of those who bore testimony to Jesus was the New Testament.
I mean, that would be like the prophets that they killed. It's hard for me to believe, like I have a hard time believing, it's hard to wrap your mind around that someone is so evil that they would enjoy hurting someone to the point of them bleeding and dying. My sister-in-law, I guess I've shared this with you guys a couple weeks ago, like her cousin's little boy was murdered. He's only 2, by the mom's boyfriend. They lived in a drug house. And my sister-in-law was saying, well, you know, I hope that through this he can get saved. Now, he took that little boy's body, put it in a bag, and put it underneath the table for 3 days. When they arrested him, he was laughing about it. And I said to Lisa, I said, I'm sorry, but like if you're angry and you do something out of emotion, like, and then you realize you did something wrong, you're convicted about that and you're sorry for it. I said, the fact that he killed that little boy, stuffed him in a bag, put him under the kitchen table, lived in the same house as this little boy's body, and then laughs about it when he's arrested. I said, that's Satan. I can't fathom what joy you get out of that. And I think that's why we have a hard time too. Like we want to believe everybody's good, and we have a hard time believing that there are actually wolves in the church, or there's actually people who intentionally want to hurt someone else.
My footnote says about verse 6, throughout history, people have been killed for their faith. Over the last century, millions have been killed by oppressive governments, and many of these were believers. The woman's drunkenness shows her pleasure in her evil accomplishments and her false feeling of triumph over the church. But every martyr who fell before her sword only strengthened the church.
That's true. Anytime there's persecution on the church gets stronger. Okay, it says, by spilling the blood of the saints, the woman committed an abomination. Look at Revelation 18:24. Who else did she kill? Oh, looky there.
Blood of the prophets of the saints and all who have been on the earth.
Wow. What verse are you in with it?
She's just pointing out that in Revelation 18:24, it's also identifying who she has killed.
Oh.
Says, read Revelation 17:7-18. The angel tells John that the beast on which the woman sits was, this is in quotations, was and is not and is yet to come. Well, that's interesting because remember at the beginning of Revelation, that's what we talked about. Jesus was and is to come. Some scholars believe this points to a physical Babylon, a kingdom that once reigned, currently does not, but will rise again. However, verse 9 tells us that the 7 heads are 7 mountains, a strong argument that the woman is seated on Rome, the city on 7 hills. Either argument can be made. Both kingdoms represent an idolatrous evil, elevating itself to godlike status and oppressing the people of God. It's possible this evil comes in the form of a world government. Read Revelation 17:8. All right, 17:8. The The beast that you saw was and is not and is about to rise from the bottomless pit and go to destruction, and the dwellers on earth whose names have not been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world will marvel to see the beast, because it was and is not and is to come. Now flip back a few pages to Revelation 13.
Are you
7.
talking about the scarlet animal that
Well, so he
where
says, she says, read Revelation 17:8. That was 17:8, which was the mystery of the woman and the beast with the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not and is about to rise from the bottomless pit and go. I think there that in that Satan or the Antichrist, and the dwellers on earth whose names have not been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. In other words, all the earth dwellers will marvel to see the beast, because it was and is not and is to come.
yeah,
The mystery of the woman.
mine in chapter 13 we see a creature from the sea and the power he received from Satan.
Is that verses 7 and 8?
Yeah, and then well, it's saying, it's going back like you just did to 13 and saying that the creature from the sea and the power he received from Satan was in 13. 14 through 16 we see God's great judgments, and in this chapter in 17 we see a scarlet animal similar to the creature and the dragon appears as an ally of the notorious prostitute. The animal's resurrection symbolizes the persistence of evil. This resurgence of evil power will convince many to join forces with him, but those who choose the side of evil condemn themselves to the devil's fate, eternal torment.
Okay, so if we read 13, 7 and 8, 7 says, it was allowed to make war on the saints and conquer them. And authority was given over every tribe and people, language and nation, and all who dwell on earth will worship it. People whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in this book of the life of the Lamb who was slain. So the question is, so those two seem to be talking about the same thing. What kind of people marvel at and worship the beast? I have all. Because it says from every nation, tribe, and tongue.
Those who choose the side of evil.
Yeah, all the earth dwellers.
So the prostitute and this woman on the scarlet animal are two different.
I think so. Because it says that the scarlet woman is that religious thing, and the beast partners with her and then turns, which I think is the Roman Catholic Church myself, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
So the harlot is Babylon, but this woman is maybe representing Rome. Was that?
The woman is the harlot or the religious system. Whatever that is, we assume maybe Rome. Because remember that first 3.5 years, that false prophet's going to be able to is very charismatic and convinces everyone to worship. And then when Satan comes in at the halfway mark and sets himself up as God, he doesn't have a need then for the harlot.
So the harlot and the woman in verse 3, though, are different. Or are they both the harlot?
Verse 3 and 17?
Yes. Because mine says, the angel took me in spirit into the wilderness. There I saw a woman sitting on the scarlet animal. It doesn't say the prostitute. It sounds like it's a different vision, different.
Well, I guess make question, and when we get through the commentaries, we'll figure
Okay.
out who's who.
All right.
Verses 10 and 12, 10 through 12 are subject to much speculation. Who are the 10 kings? Who are the 7 and the 5? Rather than speculate on this, reread Revelation 17:14. 17:14, it says, they will make war on the Lamb, and the Lamb will conquer them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and those with him are called and chosen and faithful. Revelation 17:14. Okay, it says, what will the Lamb do to these kings? Oh, he'll conquer them. What 2 titles does he deserve?
Lord of
King
Lords
of
and King of
Kings, Lord of
Kings.
Lords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does he call those who are with him?
Chosen and faithful followers.
Yeah. How does this comfort you? We've got all the kingdoms coming up to a war. And we got the Lamb saying he'll conquer them. Well, first of all, they're making war on the Lamb. I used to early in my walk think that we would have to fight this battle, but we don't. He does. We're just with him, which I find comforting.
We just kind of stand behind him and let him do the work.
Yeah, it's going to be his word anyway. Like he'll be able to breathe on him and knock him out. But we're I mean, to me, it's comforting because we're protected. We're on the right side. And I think the whole point of Revelation is we have joy in knowing at the end of the day, it's done and we don't have to live in any of this anymore. That's what confuses me about Christians being afraid of Revelation. It's like, why we shouldn't be afraid. It's our victory. It's his victory cry.
I think for a long time, I was probably one of those people who didn't even want to read it because it was kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think whether it's the fact I just really wasn't paying attention, not listening, whatever, but I don't think I've never heard a lot of preachers actually preach that much on Revelation.
Yeah.
And so if you don't really know what it means, I mean, if you don't get into it and find out, it can be scary because it's like, you mean I have to live through all this? You know,
Or
all these
listening to
horrible
someone,
things.
or listening to someone who gives a bad interpretation, who hasn't really studied it, and they're trying to, you know what I mean? And it's like, scare the bejesus out of people. You know, it's like, it should be
I mean,
comforting.
it's like somebody who maybe tries to scare people into heaven, you
Yeah.
know, like tell you all the bad stuff and just scare you into going to heaven, which doesn't always work.
No. No, anytime we have to manipulate for God, we're on the wrong side of it. In verses 15 through 18, we are told the kings who arise from the beast the woman rides will join together and destroy the woman. Some scholars believe this is a prophecy regarding the fall of Rome. Others believe it is a future prophecy about a new political Babylon. Either way, the kingdom falls. Who puts in verse 17, who puts it in the king's heart to destroy the prostitute? Oh.
God.
Yeah. So he's still totally in control. Read Romans 1:21 through 28. I'll find it here real quick. Romans 1, 21 through 28. For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creeping things. Therefore, God gave them up in the lust of their hearts to impurity, to the dishonoring of their bodies among themselves, because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this reason, God gave them up to dishonorable passions, for their women exchanged natural relations for those that are contrary to nature. How far am I reading? 28.
28, I think.
And the men likewise gave up natural relations with women and were consumed with passion for one another, men committing shameless acts with men and receiving in themselves the due penalty for their error. And since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them up to a debased mind to do what ought not to be done. What does God do when people choose to harden themselves against him? It's said 3 times.
In what verse?
In Romans,
Oh,
in that Romans 21 through 28. He lets them go, doesn't he? Although they knew God, they did not honor him or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal men, birds, animals, and creeping things. Therefore, God gave them up to the lusts of their hearts. For this reason, God gave them up to dishonorable passions.
He
And
just left them go.
yeah, and since they did not see fit, he gave them up. How does knowing that God is ultimately in control, even when people choose evil, comfort you in today's age? I'm just always glad. Like, I remember that when it finally dawned on me that nothing was dependent on me. Like, I just had to be obedient, but I didn't have to bear the responsibility of things. I don't know how to say it. Like, just I grew up in a lot of dysfunction, and I always felt the burden of like having to be in control, because if I wasn't, then I would end up I don't know what word I want. Like, I didn't trust any adults because none of them made decisions that were in my best interest. So even, like initially when I got married, like even controlling the money, like I always felt the need to control, because if I didn't, then things would not go right. I guess that maybe is how, um, a better way to say it. And I remember the moment that I realized that I didn't have to do that. All I had to do was be obedient to the Lord, and he would take care of things. That was such a relief.
It is a comfort.
Yeah. I mean, even like your situation with the girls, Kim, it's like you can't control that. You have to trust him to take care of it.
I think to a point that we all still try to control. I mean, even though we try to give everything over to God, I think there's a point where we still like to have some control.
Yeah.
And it's just like I was telling Brett the other day, I was to see my financial advisor Monday, and you know, do I trust what's going on with the government and the stock market? Absolutely not. Do I have to at some point just say, okay, God, if that's where my money is, and if I'm going to lose all my money, a lot of other people are too, and I'm just going to have to trust that you're going to take care of me regardless of whether that happens or what. And I can't sit here and worry about it every single day. I mean, I can try to do what I can, the best I can to save you know what I mean. But in the end, it's kind of out of my control. If
Well,
I take it home and put it in my mattress and my mattress catches on fire, I still don't have any money.
That's right.
Well, I think too, like we in America are very individualized, like our things, if you lost all your money, Kathy, you would always have a home with us.
Well, good. At least
Yeah.
we'd have toilet paper because the basement's full of it.
Well, that is, yes, the entire cistern is full of toilet paper. Oh my gosh.
But I think there's a point where we still try to control some things, but in the end, we really don't have,
Mm-mm.
you can sit and worry about it all you want, but it
I always think
doesn't do
about
any good.
Forrest Gump. You guys watch that movie?
Mhm.
Mhm.
When they went out on the shrimping boat, and he got all the shrimp, and it's like God will make happen what God wants to happen. He doesn't really need us to do anything except be obedient. And I think in our obedience, he will honor our obedience. Just like with Moses, whenever the people were complaining and Moses said they would get the meat, God didn't say they were going to get the meat. Moses told them they were going to get the meat, but God honored it because of his relationship with Moses. So yeah, at the end of the day, we can try to figure it out all we want, but God will do what he wants to do anyway. Any other thoughts? All right, this concludes the reading of God's word for today. And what is today? Is today Friday?
Yeah.
All right, well, we won't meet again till Monday then. Everybody have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, love
You
you guys.
too.
Love you. Have a
Bye.
good weekend.
Bye.